Today, in Shabbat Made Simple, Part 5, we're going to be looking at a whole new form of creation. We're going to go from this sheep that you see right here to the world's most expensive suit. By the way, that suit retails for about $900,000. As we've spoken about before, what's prohibited on Shabbat is creating. When a human being creates, he doesn't actually create something from nothing. Instead, he has taken that which God has made for us and he converts it into his basic needs. In this particular case, we're discussing all of the 13 processes of weaving clothing. Okay, we need to take step number 1, going from this sheep to a pile of wool. The process that's involved in that is quite simple. It's called shearing. Shearing is, of course, giving a sheep a haircut. As we've mentioned in previous videos, the prohibition applies not only to an actual step in making clothing, but to anything which is similar to it. Similar to shearing sheep, of course, would be getting a haircut. Okay, so now we have this big pile of wool, and we need to go from this dirty, knotted, matted wool into something much cleaner, nice and white like the wool you see on the right-hand side. And of course, that would be through washing. Typically, they would use various chemicals or different types of washing agents. And in our world, even though you may not be washing raw wool anytime soon, you may have to do the laundry. And laundry, of course, would be similar. So therefore, laundry would be prohibited on Shabbat. So now we've got this nice, clean, white wool. But we need to take it, you see how clumpy it is and how it's all stuck together and how all the fibers of the wool are all clumped together. If you look on the right-hand side, you'll see that the fibers of wool have become nice and smooth and all going in the same direction. In order to get to that state, we need to do a process that is referred to as carding. If you look carefully on the picture on the bottom, you'll see two combs. And what they do is they place the wool in between these two combs. They simply brush the top comb over the bottom comb, separating all of the fibers and making them all go in the same direction, preparing it for the next steps. Obviously today we don't do this by hand anymore. Instead, there are large machines that are able to do the exact same work. Okay, so now we have our carded wool, all of it being nice and organized and neat, all going in the right direction. But remember, the suit that we're trying to make is going to be colored black. So we need to go from the uncolored wool into the colored wool, and that obviously is done through a process that we refer to as dyeing. The wool, of course, is put into this colored mixture, and the mixture, of course, attaches itself to the wool until it becomes whatever color it is that we want. Now, you and I, once again, may not be dyeing wool anytime in the near future. However, some things that are similar to dyeing wool would be painting. Not only would painting be similar, according to many, so would putting on makeup. And the final step for today, we're going to go from this dyed wool into the product that we need in order to make the suit, which is referred to as yarn. Normally, when you think about yarn, you think about the type of yarn that's used in craft stores. And that itself is also, of course, yarn. But if you ask anybody in the clothing business, they'll tell you that all thread would be called yarn. And we take this yarn, of course, and in the next lesson, we're going to see how we go from the yarn into a final product, which is, of course, a suit. But for today, we're going to go from the picture on your left, which is, of course, the dyed wool, to the picture on the right, which is your final product, which is yarn. We need to combine all of the fibers of wool into one piece of yarn. And this is done through a process called spinning. What you see here, of course, was the olden way to do it. This was done with a spinning wheel. Today, the process remains exactly the same, only we have large machines that are able to do this for us. So in conclusion, what we've seen so far is the first part of creating clothes from sheep. We've gone through the first 5 steps of going from this animal right here to this yarn right here. At this point, I'd like to wish you and yours a very happy Shabbat.